Alright guys, so today I am going to be showing you how to remove the display message on the iPhone 11s. For this you're going to need obviously a heat gun. We use the Quick 861WD at my store. You're also going to need a soldering iron. I use an FX951 or a 2023, and the biggest tip you have for it, it can be your knife tip or a bigger one. You're also going to be needing Flux. You can use Amtech Flux 559, and you're also going to be needing solder paste, which can be the 183 or the 138, whatever you're comfortable with. You're also going to be needing the stencils, like this ones. You can get the iMechanic stencil from Indra Gadgets and Mobile Centrics, and it comes with the little pre-cuts for you to be able to put the chip in it. I personally like to use a board holder to keep the screen steady while I'm removing it. For that, you can use the one that you use for back glass repair. That should be fine. It doesn't bother me, so you should be okay with it too. You're going to need a scalpel blade to remove underfill. So let's get started on how we do this process. So, and very important, you're going to need an FXIC screen from Indra Gadgets for this process. So, first thing you want to do is set your my god, I forgot the word. Your hot air station, your quick, at your channel 1, which is usually about 200 degrees, whatever airflow you want to set it on. I have mine set at 215, 100. And then you want to grab your blade, your scalpel blade. You want to remove a little bit of the underfill around the screen. In this particular screen, this one doesn't have a good working LCD, so it was just going to go straight to the trash anyway. So in a way, it doesn't matter how rough or hot you are with it, because you weren't going to be able to reuse it anyways. I suggest do your first practice rounds with one of these guys, just so you're not worried about, destroying it. And also keep in mind that once you remove this IC, these screens do not qualify for buyback credit with Indra Gadgets or Mobile Centrics. So I personally don't do it unless the screen has a damaged LCD. But that's because I'd rather keep the buyback credit. That's just me personally. So as you see, we're removing the little underfill, and the underfill is like a glue, and it holds stuff down together, and it's supposed to be for liquid damage protection and impact. You want to remove as much of it as you can, just so the IC comes off super easy after. Let's see, we got most of it off, I think. Looks pretty good. Alright, so now that we have that off, I'll put that to the side. I usually grab a pair of tweezers, but that's just me. You're gonna set your hot air station, your next channel, which could be in the 300 grades. Right now I have mine at 365, 65. What you're gonna do is you're gonna heat this sucker up. You're not gonna use the flux yet. The reason for that is because it's not gonna make a difference on the underfill. You're gonna just lift, and boom. See how easy that came off? Now we're done with that part. So far it's pretty easy and painless. I'm gonna move this out of the way. And now comes the annoying part. Let me see. Can I get you guys in here? So now, what you guys are gonna want to do is remove that underfill on the IC. Now some people prefer to scrape. I personally don't. I see that it could be more damage when you scrape versus just using solder paste. You can try using 138 solder paste. That's what's recommended. I like 183 because I don't like to buy one type of solder paste for these projects. Remember your FX951 or 2023 or whatever station you're using should be set at 450 and above. I use it at 750 because I don't like messing with my temperatures. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna first put some solder paste on it like I did. and then you're gonna put some flux. You're gonna make sure the tip of your soldering iron is ready for rumble, and you're gonna do a little bit of a scraping motion when you do this. Not hardcore scraping, just kind of like trying to remove that black stuff off it, the underfill. You're gonna kind of, that's why your stencil needs to be hot, your tip, because if it's too cold, it's not gonna do anything. You could also do the method that In Your Gadgets recommends, which is you put it in a stencil or a holder, and you kind of like scrape off the underfill with just your hot air. To each their own. It's personal choice. I personally like it this way, so there you go. That just kind of starts coming off. You can turn around a little bit if you need to. Clean your tip off. Put a little bit more flux. Always flexing. What happens if you don't have enough flux is the solder starts to bridge, or it leaves like big blobs on the place or wherever you're touching it. So you just put a little bit more flux if that happens, and touch it again, and you see it melt away. Okay, this is almost done with the cleanup. Okay, so now that we have it kind of done with the cleanup, I'm gonna grab a piece of paper towel, some isopropyl alcohol, and you're gonna clean it. You can use a toothbrush, or I use this little painter tape wannabe things. You can get those from, again, Mobile Centrics In Your Gadgets. You want to make sure that it gets nice and cleaned up. You want to remove as much flux and dirt and debris from it, otherwise the new solder is not gonna stick to it. Okay, we have that. Gonna blow a little bit of air on it to dry it off. Make sure that that looks sort of kind of good. It does. Oops. Okay. So now, what I'm going to do is, again, add just a little bit more paste. Go over those one more time. So more paste, more flux. And then we're gonna clean your tip again. Always cleaning. And if the smoke bothers you too much, turn on your fume extractor or wear your mask. Whatever you prefer to do. You want to make sure there's solder, or as much solder on all those little spots. Make sure that it's grabbing on it. Turn around a little bit. It's not grabbing at that corner, so we're going to put just a little bit more flux on it. See? And we do another pass. That should start grabbing on a little bit better. Okay, that should be good enough. So now, again, what are we gonna do? Clean it up one more time. Oh, yeah, it's stuck to the thing. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Right there. Okay. Good enough. Now, we are going to reball it. I'm going to find our iPhone 11 series stencil for this. So what you want to do is, one thing I like to do, let me rip a piece of this, I'll need it, is I usually grab a paper towel and I put it over it like that. And that helps lift the IC a little bit, because sometimes my table's too flat and it doesn't cooperate. So you kind of want to lift it a little bit, push it in. This is what we call a 2D stencil, so sometimes it needs that extra help. You line it up, you see how they're lined up. And again, grab some solder paste. And you kind of like mix it up in there. Make sure all the holes have some. There we go. And then you just scoop it up like this. Make sure they're all looking pretty good and even. There you go. Clean off the excess, like so. Then to hold the stencil down, I like to use a bigger set of tweezers. These ones are a little bit bigger and thicker. You set your hot air. I particularly like to set it at the 330 range. And you start off from far away, heating up the stencil. I usually put my handle, my hot air handle, kind of close to like my microscope, just to dictate how far I am. You want the stencil to heat up evenly. So I go in circles, heat it up evenly, and as it heats up, you'll come close eventually. You'll start getting closer and closer. And eventually you're going to see those balls form. So right now they're going to start forming. There you go. They formed. You're going to heat it up a little bit. So this one looks so wet. And now that looks pretty dry. I'm going to take it off. You're going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're going to poke your IC out through the stencil holes. There you go. Now we're going to flip it over and see all the balls are there. And now what I like to do after is usually I'll put just a little bit more flux and I'll hit them one more time with the hot air. I'm going to hit it like that. You're going to see the balls kind of shine up a little bit. And as some of them look deformed, they'll correct themselves or even out with the rest of them. Alrighty, there we go. Looks good enough. I'm going to let the IC cool down for a little bit. We're going to clean it again in just a second, but I like to let it cool down. Also, something very important you want to notate before you even start working on this, at the very least your first few times or until it becomes muscle memory, is you want to make sure that you know the orientation that the chip went. So you can't just put the chip back like whatever. That will definitely make our jobs easier. You have to put it in a specific orientation. Otherwise, you're still going to get the display message. So as always, we clean it. Clean, clean, clean. That looking good. It's looking pretty clean to me. I clean it some more, because it ain't gonna hurt. The cleaner, the better. Just like your teeth. Alright, looks clean enough. Clean up right here. Toss that out. Gotta make sure there's no missing balls. That'll look pretty even. Looks pretty good. Okay. So now, you're going to grab your replacement screen. In 1 minute. Okay, so we have here our new screen. One thing I do like to do is go over a little bit and kind of remove those pre-tin balls. That's just me though. I know some people don't care, but I do. Okay, remove those. I'm gonna take the IC. I'm gonna line it up a little bit like that. Then one thing I also like to do is you put a little bit of flux on top of the IC. Alright, a little bit of flux. You're gonna grab your solder wire, 183. You're gonna put some on your tip, 183, 138, whatever the heck you wanna use. You're gonna line up that IC pretty good. You're gonna kinda hold it like so. What this does is it has heat transfer, and it'll melt those balls. Okay, now that I've done that, that looks pretty good and steady. What I like to come with is I grab my stencil, and this mechanic stencil, that's why I like it. It's got little bricks for it. I'm gonna find a little space that goes on it. I think it's this one right here. What I like to do is I lower my temperature to like 290 or something like that, and I hit it again with some hot air to make sure it bounces back and that it's soldered on correctly. You see how, like, when I touch it, it bounces right back? That means it's settled in place. You push away your hot air, move the stencil, and wait a couple seconds. I'm going to give it enough time to cool down before we do what? Clean it. This time I'm going to clean it with a Q-tip. You're going to grab a Q-tip, you get the Q-tip wet, you clean that up. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Blow it out, and then we're going to go install. Give me a minute. Alrighty guys, so we are back. This phone is not on, the screen is officially on it, and I'm going to show you guys that there is no display message. It does show Face ID issue, which is fine. We couldn't really test the phone prior, but you see, no display message. Let me verify that the Face ID actually does not work. And it's doing a stupid thing where it says Face ID doesn't work, but it is working. So it's probably just an Apple bug or whatever. Face ID is functional. We're going to go ahead and run the Apple diagnostics. Okay. That being said, I hope that really helped you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to hit me up on Discord or on the Slack group if you have any questions, or just post questions down in the comments below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And if you want to just drop me a little love and buy me a coffee, I would really appreciate that. Thanks you guys for staying put. Have a wonderful day.